Hello and welcome to the very first episode of Dissecting the Gameplay, a web series in which we examine the video games up and close to learn more about their various components. In this first episode, we're going to ask two key questions about video games, namely, what is a video game after all, and what's the point of analyzing them? My name is Martin Holland, and you're watching Dissecting the Gameplay. Basically, we all know what a video game is, but sometimes it can be quite a fun and interesting exercise to define the limits of the medium. You can actually end up in a fairly philosophical discussion. Let's take the Netflix film Bandersnatch, for instance. Is that a video game because it's interactive? Our conversations with Siri or Alexa on our gadgets.
Alexa, open Rock Out Loud.
Yay!
They're also interactive to a certain extent. And what about text-heavy games like the so-called visual novels? Are repeated clicks with the mouse to make the endless conversations and sparse storyline go forward enough to make visual novels a gaming genre, or aren't they just graphic novels on a screen? The same goes for everybody's favorite mobile game Hay Day, whose primary challenge is waiting for the grass to grow and avoid doing anything at all. And finally, there's the walking app Pokemon Go. If that's a game, isn't the first and infuriating pocket monster the Tamagotchi from the 1990s? Isn't the Tamagotchi then a video game too? So, how do you define a video game? What are the limits? And how do you measure up the video gaminess of a film, of an ebook, or a plastic gadget? Well, here's my answer. First of all, a video game is an interactive form of entertainment. The player must participate, either physically or by using motor skills. As players, we must do something when we play. That's the absolute minimum. If we're reduced to passive spectators, then it's just not a game. Furthermore, the video game must provide some sort of challenge for the player, so we can either win or lose the game, or at least a part of the game. And finally, of course, the game must run on a computer unit with a screen, hence the term video game. From that minimal definition, we can conclude that, yes, Bandersnatch is in fact a video game, not a particularly entertaining or interesting one. It's annoying and boring, let's be honest. But we still need to participate and make active choices during the story. The same goes for both Pokemon Go and the Tamagotchi and a surprisingly huge bunch of farming games. They all demand some kind of interaction between player and game, and there's also a risk that we might fail and lose a particular section of the game if we screw up. So when it comes to defining what a video game is, interaction is front and center. More precisely, interaction can actually happen on two levels, which makes the video game its own unique medium.
Not unlike a nightmare.
First of all, many games try to create a bond between the player and the main character in the game, even if the so-called main character is just a tiny cluster of pixels, which might resemble a spaceship, or perhaps a really gross hamster, or perhaps something completely different.
Hello?
We don't just identify with the main character, like when we're watching a film or reading a novel. When we play a video game, we become the main character, and thereby we also end up becoming some kind of joint narrator of the story in the video game.
Maybe we believed so much in a family curse, we made it real.
Or that's how it feels, at least. And that's the second form of interaction. We don't just control the main character, but we also control the fate of the main character, making us a kind of co-author of the story.
I don't want to kill all these food, Dutch.
The end result is that the gaming experience most often feels much more powerful and much more absorbing than reading a novel or watching a film. When we play a video game, our senses are bombarded with sights and sounds and impressions. Our brains need to process all that information, and we need to react and do something with our motor skills to handle the challenges and further the story along. This experience, the gaming experience, is totally unique. In order to understand what's going on when we play video games, we need to dissect them and analyze the gaming devices. And through this analysis, our knowledge about video games as a cultural product will grow. Video games as interactive stories created by people, for people, to reflect and comment on our day and age.
It's this smooth super spy. Oh.
It might sound boring, but it's absolutely vital. We're going to dissect the most important and the most popular mass medium of the 21st century. To put it shortly, and perhaps also a little simple, we've had roughly 3 forms of mass media in human history. And a mass medium is defined as a medium that reaches out to the masses and communicates the story to an overwhelming, like mind-bogglingly overwhelming number of people. Back in the 19th century, that mass medium was the novel, at least for the people who were actually able to read novels. Novels were both printed in periodicals and newspapers and also published in book form. But publishing process aside, the purpose with the novel was the same. They were entertaining the readers and they were broadening the reader's horizon. The novel put into words what it meant to be a human being, what the human condition was all about, and how different people responded to various conflicts and dilemmas. It opened the world to people. It opened people's eyes to the world, especially conflicts and dilemmas that weren't part of the reader's everyday life. Many popular novels were set in distant parts of the world, in fantasy kingdoms of the imagination, or they dealt with extraordinary characters who dared question the social norms of the 19th century. In the 20th century, the novel was replaced by first films in the cinema, then TV, and nowadays streaming services like Netflix and HBO. The moving picture quickly stole the role as the mass medium, obviously because films and TV shows are more straightforward and visceral than words on a page. Films can more easily involve us emotionally and draw us into their stories and characters. When we sit down in the darkness of the cinema, the projection of pictures, sounds, and music makes us forget everything else. Just like that, we identify with the on-screen characters, their problems, and their dilemmas. And now, in the 21st century, video games have already caught up with and outranked the other visual media in financial revenue. You can easily compare video games to films, but there's one substantial difference: interaction. Because of the interactive elements, video games are even brasher and more visceral than films. You can't just zone out or answer the phone or do your homework while you're playing a game. Also, whereas films let you identify with the main characters, video games take it one crucial step further. You are the main character. You become the main character. You experience the game world and the story from within, so to speak. Video games are engaging and gripping on a whole other level than films and literature, thanks to the interactive elements. And because the video game is the #1 mass medium of the 21st century, and because they're as impressive and effective as they actually are, we need to start analyzing them. Of course we do. We need to take them as seriously as we do the former mass media of the 19th century and the 20th century.
My name is still Martin Holland, and you've been watching the first episode of Dissecting the Gameplay. In just a week's time, I'll be back with episode 2 and 4 different gaming experiences, which were mapped out more than 60 years ago in 1958, the very same year that the world's first video game was actually assembled. That's in a week's time. See you then, and thanks for watching.